What's up, everybody? How we feeling? Wow. How we feeling? Everyone good? Yeah. There we go. Cool. Welcome to Behind the Booth. I see a lot of familiar faces here, but first, actually, shout out to Posh for having us. Yeah, big shout out to Posh. Welcome to Behind the Booth. I see a lot of familiar faces here, but if you don't know, Behind the Booth is a DJ workshop and panel, and we bring DJs and organizers together to have discussions on how to push the culture forward, right? So my name's Nick, NKNX. I'm the co-founder of a DJ studio. I'm also going to be the moderator today. I'm the co-founder of a DJ studio in Newark, New Jersey called Bunker. I'm also the co-founder of Cement Sound, which is a DJ video series on YouTube. It's also a dinner music experience. I also run Ground Roll Collective, a dance music party, and an organizer for Behind the Booth with Showcase and my partner Josh over there. But we have some titans in the room here right next to me. And I have a good feeling about some of the discussions we're going to have today. So let's have everyone introduce themselves to everyone here. So let's start with Show. Brief description, name, you know the drill.
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. My name is Showcase, DJ, designer, director, co-founder of Juneteenth NJ. If you look at the flyer in the back, June 21st, make sure you're there.
Let's go.
Promo, baby, promo.
Yes, sir. I am co-founder of Ballads and Bottles, R&B Experience. I DJ a little bit of everywhere. DJed a lot with these folks right here. So really happy to be here and bring all of us together.
My name is Moochie. I'm a DJ. I hoard vinyl. I have a party every Tuesday at this place called Record Room. I don't know if everyone's ever been to it. It's called Suede. I started this residency at Damballa in Brooklyn every Sunday, which has been pretty incredible. And I kind of take a lot of pride in just being like the hardest working DJ in New York. I did like over 300 gigs last year, and I could use some sleep.
Yo, clap it up for that, please. Holy shit.
My name is DJ Moma. I'm a DJ producer. I'm a co-founder of Everyday People. I've been DJing in the city for 22 years, more or less. And I've had the privilege of DJing around the world for like the past 10 plus years. And and I do a bunch of other stuff like Wednesday nights at LeBain, monthlies at Deluxe Flux, Musica. We have pop-ups all over the country, all over the world. So yeah, that's a bit about what I do.
Hey guys. Hey guys, I'm Arty Furtado. Thank you for having my picture up there.
Got you, man.
I founded a company called Furtado Global last year. We're basically an events production agency. We'll help your brand scale, do events here and there with the right expertise. We have like clients that reach out to us. They'll be like, yo, man, we want to throw a party for the launch of our product. We help them with that. One of our brands that we work with that's pretty well known at this point is called Club One Bedroom. We do DJ sets in apartments. We've been touring the country like internationally as well. So we're going to continue to grow that. And I DJ here and there sometimes whenever the people are kind enough to invite me behind the booth. Yeah, that's it.
Everyone give our panelists a big round of applause, please. So let's get into it, right? We all know the saying, they will come. Oh, my mic's turned on. I think we're good. If you build it, they will come, right? And I think all of us have taken that saying and really ran with it. And I just want to know what, I'll take that. Yeah. See if this one works.
I know a dead battery when I hear it.
But I think we're good now. When in your careers did that saying become a reality for you? And when did you make that decision that that was the way to go as opposed to working other people's parties and not doing something on your own and not building something? And I want to start with Moochie, actually. Let's go.
That's actually a really good question for me. I really made a name for myself. Just keep going. I know I really made a name for myself in New York, strictly through hard work. A lot of people, I say this like very sort of respectfully. Like a lot of people, go viral. A lot of people, I don't know, they look really good, they dress really good. And I myself, I never really participated in social media like a lot of other people, but I had these major tenets that I would always stick to, which is be really good at your job, which includes most notably the music. The music is always the most important thing. We play.
Check, check, check.
I'm gonna try that one. We play other people's music for a living, so we need to really respect that and try to play it in a way that is true to yourself and authentic, and treat it like a service job. We're playing for these other people. We're not here to make ourselves look like the coolest person in the room. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I guess very recently, last couple of years, I had a lot of traction throwing my own events because I realized people actually really come out for me. It took me a while to realize how much people actually cared about the way I spin. I knew I was getting booked for everything, but I feel kind of naive now. I'd be like, holy shit, I can bring out fucking 400 people if I want, if I really put the effort in. And I started doing that, and it's the best decision I've ever made. And I would just encourage anyone to, once you realize you have a following, to capitalize on it and to throw parties in a way that's I would quote unquote put responsible. And I mean that in the sense that do a fair ticket price for people. Don't oversell your parties. You don't need 7 DJs on a lineup, man. I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying anymore. I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, once you throw your own parties, it's very it's very awakening.
Because it takes a lot to, we all know it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to run your own shit, right? So it's a big decision to say, hey, I'm going to be the one to build this, and I'm not going to wait to maybe get booked or something. So, Moma, if you want to speak on that.
About maybe when the first time I thought it was a good idea to build my own stuff. A good friend of mine named Sinclair booked me for his birthday party, November 2007. I'll never forget it. It was at a new spot called 105 Rivington. It was a Monday night, and we kind of just threw the greatest party of all time. And at 2 a.m., the music went out, and we didn't know what to do. It was an amp. Somebody had hit a switch by accident and tripped the music. And we couldn't believe it because the party was so good. About 200 people walked out onto the street. I think we tried to get into the box, but we were it was still an amazing party. And then the guys who ran the venue said, you guys should do this every Monday. And we said, you're absolutely crazy. This is somebody's birthday. It was a special one-off. Monday night is just a no-fly zone. It's too difficult. But they convinced us, and they showed tremendous patience with us, and they let us run that Monday night for about 3 months with very low expectations. And then it became a staple. It ran for 3.5, 4 years straight. And I was like, wow, if we could do this on a Monday night, then we can probably do anything on any given day of the week. And so I got to experience that relatively early. And it was a blessing. It was a confluence of a lot of elements that came together at the right time. The city was a different place. Downtown Manhattan was a different place. Nightlife, the fashion industry, and all the adjacent industries, which vibrating in a different way than it is right now. But the fact that we were able to do a 4-year Monday night residency that would start to pop off at 1:30 a.m. every Monday, and that went till 4:30. I thought that was pretty eye-opening, and it kind of gave me a lot of confidence and conviction in my own beliefs.
Sure, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think It started for me in college, Rutgers University.
Let's go, Rutgers, baby.
Yes, sir. Me and like my best friend, Flagerian, we were not the only, but we were like two DJs on campus who respected each other's game. We met each other in like a Black Student Union org meeting. I was passing out CDs, trying to get known on campus. And he discovered me in a chat. He was like, who the hell is this other DJ? And we ended up, fast forward to the next semester, we ended up throwing a party together in somebody's backyard. That brought a lot of buzz to us. And then we started doing frat parties and student center parties. And I took like my graphic design skills and incorporated that into saying, hey, I'll make your flyer too. Just leveraging at a really early stage in my career. But what really like instilled that level of build it and they will come for me is when we landed our first residency at this club called Perlay up in New Brunswick. It was on the college campus basically. And it gave us an opportunity to kind of see what we can do in a full scale club with, management, sound system, security, tables. We were kind of we threw ourselves kind of into the ringer at an earlier age. I think we were like 21, 22 when it started. And just being able to kind of like, I guess, that was like our dojo. We were able to kind of like sell tickets and learn how to like learn the business of the club. And we were getting fucked. Like we were, they were paying us like pennies basically when you really think about it. But the experience that we gained from that definitely carried over when we came over to the city, because it was like we never needed a promoter. We always kind of, me being able to create the promotional assets and then understanding kind of how to market those things and keeping a good pulse on like what's hot musically and everything. Just doing all of that in that little market prepared us to come to New York and say, I got a few gigs out here being booked by some of the bigger DJs in the market at the time. And it was like, but we always had it in our head, like we got to do our own shit as soon as we get here. So once we got in, we found a small club. It's closed now, but Bar Shimmy over in Brooklyn. We had like our first one off. We did a party there. And the rest was kind of like history. Is that's when we kind of figured out when it was time to kind of, cut the middleman out. As we all know, like a lot of DJs in here you guys organize your own events now. That's kind of like the new thing. But and I also have to give like an ode to you guys, like everyday people. Just that was something that concept was always so dope to us, like watching it from, quote unquote out of towners, So yeah.
And Arty, what made you decide to build your own platform?
Yeah.
There we go.
For me, it started back in college, kind of the same thing. I went to NYU, which is basically here. And yeah, like back then when I first moved here in 2018, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be an artist and I produce my own beats. So I would get invited to these artist showcases and I would sing my music and the crowd reactions were just not there. I just hated these events. They sucked. And then
Arty, I have to cut you off, but
Yeah.
a lot of people don't notice. He usually forgets to say this, but he came from Switzerland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's not he didn't come from like Connecticut or something. He's from Switzerland and came to NYU. I just want to throw that out there.
Appreciate it. Hell yeah. I was there this morning, so I'm sorry, I'm very tired. But
Oh shit! Holy shit!
so these events sucked. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't cover the bottom.
I can't, my bad. Sorry guys. Yeah, so like I was saying, these events sucked. And so I was just like kind of frustrated because like I felt like, performing your music, your songs in front of people is like the strongest way, if your music is good, the strongest way to build a real connection with potential fans, to pay for stuff that you release later down the years. And I couldn't do that. And so like when I moved out the dorms, I moved to this apartment that had like a really nice rooftop. A really nice rooftop. And my friend was like, yo, you have space, you produce, so hella young artists. Why don't you just throw a party? And I was like, yeah, let's do it next weekend. And so I got like 5 of my homies that are like dope artists, but like, nobodies, just like, you know, people, my friends. I was like, yo, we're gonna throw this concert on a rooftop. And they were all like, whatever. Like, they didn't really care. They didn't really see the vision. I made this artwork. I'm not as good as this man's over here. My artwork was trash. The artist didn't want to post it at all.
Oh, man.
But guess what? 200 people came and paid at the door. And like, if you're in college, like having 200 people pay like $5 to $8 to come and see like 6 strangers perform, like I was like, yo, it's like, this is so dope. Because after the event, the headliner, shout out Khadijah, some girls were like posting pictures on IG, and the captions were her lyrics of her unreleased songs. And I was like, yo, this is like really built a connection. Like, if you're dope, these events are a really cool place to do that. And I was just like kind of proud that like I got these strangers to fall in love with these artists. I was like, oh shit, I could do that for people. And I love this crowd. They were actually receptive to my songs. And so I just kept on doing it. The third event after that, I had an artist named Dochi who like headlines back in February 2020. You know, look where she's at now. So yeah, and then fast forward to now, like with what I'm doing with Club One Bedroom is just came from a place of like David and I, like the co-founder, like he founded it basically. It was his idea, but he came to me. He was like, yo, let's build this. He was just like, yo, clubs suck unless it's an everyday people party, a Moochie party, or a showcase party, you know? Yes, sir. He was like, clubs suck, like bottled service sucks. I DJ wedding, David DJs weddings, and he was just like, yo, let's just throw a party for our friends because they never get to hear me DJ since I'm only DJing weddings. And so we did it, we filmed it, thanks to people sharing that thing went viral, like, and yeah, we just decided that we had to capitalize off that and just make it a real event. And you know, fast forward to now, we toured internationally. Our #1 audience is in South Africa somehow. So yeah,
Let's go.
It's
Give it up for that. Let's go. So out of curiosity, how many of us here are currently event organizers or plan on organizing events? I'm going to guess most of us, right? So we all know then, and we know that how important community is in event organizing and building a brand for an event, right? Community is pretty much everything. It's a huge pillar in events. I want to know, what are some of the keys to build a very strong community with your brand, and how have you done that, and what's your experience in building a community? Whoever wants to start. We could go, Moochie.
Okay. I think I kind of what I was saying before, like really caring about people. Like, I know I've been to parties, or I know I've been a part of parties, or I've been on the bill, or where there's a huge demand for it, right? And then let's say someone didn't know about the party and they show up and it's 11:30, and why the fuck is the ticket $40? Because that person made the ticket $40 so that you have to spend it. That's not building community. That's price gouging. And caring means so many different things. That's not just price gouging. It means not overselling your party, making sure that the staff knows how many bartenders to put on so people aren't waiting fucking 30 minutes for a drink. Booking DJs and putting them in an order that makes sense. There's so many avenues to go down, but just caring about people and their experience at your party can manifest itself in many ways. And that's how you build community. Make people feel special, make people feel very cared for. Because going out's more important than people actually think. Life is really hard for a lot of people. Life is really expensive. People make up, people break up. There's so many reasons why people want to go out and just release. And we have the privilege to be that release for people. So we should care about them. And that's why people will keep coming back to your party.
Let's go.
No, props to that.
Yep.
And just to piggyback on that point about caring, like another element of that is, at some point you earn people's trust, right? And once you earn their trust, everything changes. Because before that point, it's all about you. People are coming to see you. People are coming to your party. once they earn your trust, they start telling people about you and about the party, and the space starts to get bigger and bigger. And then you have to start thinking about things that you never thought of before. You have to start thinking about a non-binary person in the security line, where there's like a dude going, yo, my man, come here. And like a lady, like, sister, come here. And they're like, they're in the middle. And you would never think about something like that if you don't share those experiences. But the minute that that comes across your desk, you have to do something about it, right? You have to have a third means of searching people at the door. Or like, if somebody gets misgendered in a bathroom in LA by a 65-year-old man, bathroom attendant from Compton, right? You actually like have to do something about it. And then you have to have a meeting with the venue, and you have to tell them, listen, when in doubt, just don't say anything. And it's the men's bathroom. There's no one in it anyway. Just let them use it, right? And there's all these things that happen once you earn people's trust. And very few of them have to do with the music. Very few of them have to do with production. They have to do with safety, with fostering a safe space and maintaining it, with codes of conduct for people at the events, but people on your team as well. And you just kind of end up learning HR and PR on the go. And it all really, it boils down to like personal touch and empathy. And if you have that, and all the members of your team have it, then you can go really far. It only takes one person to be a scumbag, and it can take everything down. So, whoever you work with, make sure they share the same values that you do, and that will allow you to maybe go further together.
So actually on that, because the saying, if it can happen, will happen, we've all experienced, bad things happening at events, things like what you were talking about. When something like that does happen, how do you troubleshoot that then? You're trying to build something and something out of your control happens. What are your steps to try to troubleshoot something in order to keep your community strong and not let it crumble? Because like you said, it takes one person to really screw something up.
I mean, listen, the first step is whoever's stepping up to you with a complaint or some sort of allegation, the first thing you got to do is you got to investigate it. And you got to give them all the options. You have to be like, are you willing to come to the venue and look at security footage with us? Are you willing to identify a certain person? And then we can try to work with security to figure out who they are, when their ticket was scanned, then we can ban them. If you want to pursue anything beyond that, as far as criminal, that we can give you all the assets and the footage or whatever. I think that's the first step. You got to make sure that whoever has been victimized has been heard and feels heard, and then you're able to action on that. And then a big part of that is then training the venues. I think me personally and the people we run with, we come from a very diverse downtown, Brooklyn, queer adjacent, minorities left and right, every marginalized group you can find in our crew. So I think we're pretty sensitive to a lot of things, but a venue is your partner and you don't know their training guidelines. You don't know where their security come from. Some of these securities are like straight up correctional facility style, as far as a heavy touch. So we do a lot of things. We have pre-shift meetings with security. And, we tell them, you don't need to pat women down at everyday people. You really do not. You want to look in their bag, fair enough. You actually don't even need to pat down the men. You can just wand them. And then we just kind of explain to them, this is a different style of party. These people are peaceful. And we just try to share some of our values and give some insights to the venues about our community. Because it's not always obvious, especially with Black people, Some venues think all right, well, this is the hood Sunday night party because I'm seeing 2,000 Black people, so I'm gonna hire security accordingly. And security is actually the first people who interface with your audience, and they can throw off your whole experience. So, I'm not even talking about music. I'm not talking about production. I'm not talking about talent. Those are the things that become truly critical when you try to foster and grow community. But by the same token, whatever you deliver to the people, your stage show, your product, the vibes, they still need to be on point. Because if it's whack or if it's boring, they're going to move on, and you're just going to have a safe space that nobody wants to be at, and that's not good either, you know?
And so from college to Juneteenth, what are your keys to, what have you done to build community? Like what keys have you taken away from that?
Yeah, so many gems were dropped, man. I think, like, yeah, from a festival standpoint, we kind of been through it all. In 2022, we had to move away from our free park model for our festival. After having a really successful year, we had almost 20,000 people at Liberty State Park, and like having to pivot and for them to tell us, you know, you have to scale it down to 5,000 max, and you have to sell tickets, and you have to pay for fencing and all these different things. I'm like, this is a free event. How are we going to do that? Then, you know, through that journey, I had to go and find another park in New Jersey. I swear to God, I put together at least 10 different security plans, 10 different traffic plans. I literally like hopped in a car with like the director of environmental safety to drive around parks and say, this is where people can come in and do this and do that. All of that just to be told no. And, you know, that was like how much I cared about doing this event. I think ultimately, like what Moochie was saying, is caring about the product that you give to the people and caring about the people in general. Like I really genuinely care about community building. That's like my purpose, my intention behind a lot of the things I do. So yeah, in 2022, we moved to a parking lot at American Dream, built a festival in that parking lot, found funding. That was our first time selling tickets. We sold out. And then you know what happened? Our POS systems failed, so people couldn't get checked in, and it backed up the line. And then somebody said, you know what, F this, I'm gonna rush the line. And everybody started rushing the line. It messed up our whole front of house. The police had to shut the door down. And now you have 3,000 people who are upset because they bought a ticket and couldn't get in. And you know what you have to do? Damage control. You know what I mean? Like this is at the utmost level still the craziest thing I've ever been through. Having to answer to so many people, have to put out a public statement explaining what happened, having to kind of go up against the state police, like just to defend your brand, protect your brand, but also take accountability for what happened. These are the things that we kind of had to recover from. And going into 2023, we were just like, F this, let's try to park one more time. We tried to park one more time. We got the park, we got the permit, and then they said, we were like, how much is it gonna be? They never told us the price. The week of the event, the county executive canceled it because we didn't have the money that they told us we had to pay. Like it was like 50 grand or something like that in a week. Think about where you're gonna get that from, right? I'm just saying, like with all these things, we've been in the fire with the festival side of things, right? And that definitely groomed me to be, you know, to operate and move with poise in smaller scale situations, like being able to throw large events, but you know, like a few hundred people or whatever it may be. I care so much about the details now, about the consumer journey. Like, what is your experience? Like Moma hit it on the head about that. The real FOH, the real front of house is the security. Like, how are they introducing themselves, you know? Those kind of clubs, you get the lasting impression, or those kind of venues and events, they leave a nice lasting impression on you because you came in, they said, how you doing, ladies? How's your night going? All right, I'm just gonna check your blah, blah, blah. All right, enjoy yourself. That goes such a long way because a lot of times, a lot of people are very entitled. They don't want to pay to get into anything. So they're going to sit there and they're like, I got to pay. And I went through, you know, all of this at the door, man, F this place or F this party or F this DJ. Like they throw a lot of things on us, you know? So, I mean, it's just a matter of, yeah, what was the question again?
How's your day going?
Community, man. Yeah, community, man. I lean on community and the community leans on us. We collectively bring a lot of great experiences to people, but you have to do a lot of the unsung hero work behind the scenes to make sure that your event is effective and it actually means something. It's meaningful to what's going on in the greater scheme of things. Like when you align yourselves with certain people, certain DJs, just be intentional about what you do. And yeah, you will sustain a career in this. That's one thing I learned. Like, I've been in it for, over 10 years now, and I've seen so many people, come and go, and it's really cool to, like, time told me about myself, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You want to?
Community. I'm gonna keep it brief. Shop. God. Oh,
Yeah,
oops.
there you go.
Sorry. First of all, I'm taking mental notes of everything that these three fine gentlemen have said.
Yep.
Because it's all facts. I speak a few languages, but the one I'm most fluent in is facts. And when I hear it spoken, I'm just happy.
What can you speak?
French, English, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, German, and
Holy shit.
facts. But
Yo, I didn't even catch that.
French, English, Portuguese, Russian, German, Spanish,
Can anyone beat that in here?
and facts.
No, I guess not.
But no, what I want to say on community is build something that you want to go to. Simple. The Club One Bedroom example. David and I just wanted a place where we could hear, well, especially David, where he wanted the club to be a place where you could hear nostalgic music. He wanted the club to feel like what he thought the club was when he was like 6 years old in 2004, So he did that. And you post the videos. And the one thing I try to tell people that like, oh, I want to start this event. I wanted to have this. I wanted to have that. It's like, you got to keep it very, very simple. Because if people buying tickets to these events, they're not thinking about all the shit that you're thinking about. They're just like, they want to see what it is about. If they like it, cool, they buy the ticket. If not, they're on to the next in like 2 seconds. So it has to be like, whatever you're trying to do, whatever your brand message is, simple to the core. And that's basically everything that we do. We're like, does it fit what we're trying to do? Does it fit our brand? Yes, then we do it. If it doesn't, we don't do it, right? But yeah, as long as you can keep being genuine with like what you truly like and what you truly want to be, you're not alone. There's a lot of people in this earth that have the same interests as you. Just do that, and you'll just build a community of like-minded people who love to hear Jersey Club remixes of a SpongeBob in a club. You know what I mean? So yeah.
That's right. And to add to that, what we do at Bunker, what we always live by when it comes to events and everything is to build community. Number one for us is hospitality at all times. It's hospitality, how you're treated from beginning to end, little things from is the AC on in the room, even if the DJ is taken care of, because what the DJ feels is very important, and they share that with other DJs. And they can say, I love playing this spot, or they can say, we've all said it, I hate playing that spot because of XYZ. So it goes down to the DJ, the guest, and everything. Because of personal experience, we've all been to a bad door in New York and a shitty doorman and, all those things. And it's like a big turnoff. And now you don't want to buy a drink. Now you don't like the music. Now you don't like everything. So for us at Bunker, and just a note for everyone here, hospitality is key for us at Bunker. But I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want to really hear about some of your struggle stories. So we're all here because of our success in events and, DJ and everything that we do. But everyone sees the glam, the shine, and everything. But what's some standout stories from each of you from the times that it wasn't so glamorous, and the times that it was really rough, and the times that maybe no one knows about because no one showed up to the party?
I'm gonna sit this one out because I think I just
No.
I just told him everything basically. So
let's hear about like some early days. So what's like a standout?
I got a
story?
quick one.
Yeah.
I did a party at Cafe Azzurri. I don't know if everyone's ever been to Cafe Azzurri, right? In like fucking February.
This year?
No, it was like 2 years ago.
Oh.
And it was like 6 degrees out, and I booked 3 DJs and a couple hosts, and no one came. And I owed a lot of money to a lot of people. And what I did was I paid them all, because you said you're going to pay someone, you pay them. And I'd say that that was a lesson right there. I was like, I'm $2,000 in the hole right now. But I'm a man of my word, and I'm taking responsibility for what happened. And I've never done anything that bad again. But I've definitely had some parties where like I lost a couple bucks or I broke even or something. But they're all just like lessons, you know? But when you do mess up, when you do struggle, accountability is really, really important. And being like a man of your word, person of your word, people don't forget it. I don't forget it if someone treats me like that. So,
so struggles, right? As far as DJing goes, I think I've been pretty blessed with being involved with relatively successful parties or bookers or events or promoters, you know, throughout my whole career. The biggest struggle for me was the early 2010s, dealing with the racial politics of the city at the time, you know? Because before this era where everybody's a bit of an independent grassroots event thrower, the goal as a DJ was to be booked at venues, which is not the case right now. You know, no one's looking to be booked by a venue right now. People want to partner with venues. They want to bring their own DJs, bring their own hosts, create their own flyers, brand their own. That wasn't the case. We were trying to go from being a $300 DJ to headlining Marquee for $1,000, or like headlining Lotus or Kane or One Oak, right? And at the time, we'd be doing like grassroots stuff in Queens, Brooklyn, or downtown, and then one day you'd get a big booking, and they would want you to promote the booking, and none of your people could get in. And it just was like, wow, what a coincidence. There's 40 black people outside who can't get in. And for me, that was a bit of a crossroads because I couldn't reconcile everything that I had built independently with like this new plateau that I wanted to be at, like a successful club DJ, you know. And I had to make a decision. It was probably like early 2011, and I quit all of my bottle service gigs. I was at 10 June, I was at Home, I was at Stereo, sometimes I was at PM, I was at Gold Bar, you know, very like prestigious places to be at the time, because the goal beyond getting booked by these DJs was to get a residency in Atlantic City or a residency in Vegas, right? This is like the post DJ AM economy, you know? But I was like, I can't keep doing this if my people can't get in. And beyond that, if they get in, they're hearing me play an EDM remix of Kelly Clarkson, right? And they're so confused. Because, like, what happened to Sean Paul? What happened to Shabba Ranks? You know? So I had to call it. And luckily for me, I still had my day job as an electrical engineer. So I was able to fall back on that, and I started from the ground up. I mean, I'm talking about dive bars in Soho. That's why I really love this area. Like, there was a spot on Sullivan and Houston where we did a party with my bro DJ Rock One, my sister Jenna Fly. We call it hop music. We have $500 that we split 3 ways, but we could play whatever we wanted, and we could welcome whomever we wanted. And I started playing in such an uncompromising kind of way that my DJ hero started showing up. Tony Humphreys. Yeah, so he showed up because it was funny. It was like this short, fat, white lady came to me, and she was like, "You play just like my husband, Tony." And I was like, "Who's Tony?" Some Italian guy from like Jersey, right? "Oh, I'm gonna bring Tony next week." And she brought Tony Humphreys next week. No, Tony Humphreys is from Brooklyn, but he's famous for throwing Club Zanzibar in Jersey. Hence, you know.
We claim him.
Yeah. And he claims Jersey too.
Yes.
But again, I was like, wow, this is like one of the lowest points in my DJ career, but my hero is here, so I must be doing something right, you know? And about 6 weeks later, we started Everyday People, you know? And the rest is history. But that was really the lowest point. And I realized that you really can't compromise your integrity or your values. And you also just don't want to deal with your people not being able to get into a club. It's so demeaning, you know? It ruins their night. It ruins your whole week, to be honest, right? Because it was so blatantly racist. And there was one night at Gold Bar, I remember it. There was no one in the venue. It was like 11:30. I had 40 people outside. and they texted me like, we can't get in. And I was like, this is some bullshit. And I just stopped the music and I left. And I never, ever went back to that type of environment, you know? They try to book me now here and there, and it's on my own terms, and it's a good bag, so I'll do it. But yeah, I never looked back after that. But that was the lowest point. But it started something good, you know?
Show, do you have an early day struggle story? You can share with everyone that.
Straightforward. I remember I was gonna wait till like one day when I got on like Jimmy Fallon or something to tell this story, but it's whatever. It's when I got fired from.
I'm right here.
Oh yeah, that is Jimmy Fallon, right? It's when I got fired from my job. I had took a risk, and yeah, now when I put it in perspective, it's crazy. So I got when I was at Rutgers, I was interning as a graphic designer for Rutgers football. I got really good at graphic design from there, and that's what like led me to being like so. I think like tapping into that creative side of things, and that got me a job at ESPN. I moved to Connecticut. That was my first time moving out of my parents' crib. This is 2019. I moved in like December of 2019, and then the pandemic happened like a few months after. I lived out there and I was working in the ESPN studio. And I was like, how the hell am I gonna DJ like out here? There's nothing for me out here. But it was too grand of an opportunity to work for ESPN and pass that up, So I'm like, I'm gonna stay down until I come up. So I took that opportunity, and I was still had that residency at Perlay in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So my shift was kind of crazy. It was Friday to Monday, 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I was doing the morning designs for Sports Center, and I would, come into work at 4 a.m. and then leave at 2 p.m. on a Friday. And I got in my car and I drove 2-3 hours back to Jersey, ran some errands or whatever, and then I DJ'd in Perlay that night. And in Jersey, the clubs closed at 2 a.m. It's perfect timing because I got in my car and I drove right back to Connecticut. And I clocked right into work, so I wouldn't go home. I'd just drive from Perlay to ESPN headquarters, and I would do that. I was doing that for probably 5 straight weeks. And you know the story. I'm gonna burn myself out like if I didn't stop that. But the pandemic happened, and that was the first time I ever told people to work from home. So I ended up working from home, and I was able to we were all confused as DJs. It's like, what are we about to do? But just having like a close friend who happened to be a DJ too, Fly, like we were like, we should just get on Instagram and start DJing. So we started live streaming on Instagram. We created this thing called Quarantine Sessions. And this is what I'm saying with the whole community thing. We were like, all right, we're just gonna put a call to action out to all the DJs and see who wants to join. We're gonna do like this rolling loud set list of DJs. Everybody gets 30 minutes, starting from like 3 p.m. to like 10 p.m. And we would like close the night out. So, start with like King Season at like 3 o'clock, and he'll be a 30-minute set on Instagram. Thank y'all for coming. Everybody in the comments like, oh, where's the tables? Where's the sections? And then at 10 o'clock, we have this whole community of people, 300, 400, 500 people in Instagram Live, like playing with us. And I look back all the time and I think about, damn, that was really like a pivotal moment in my career, because DJing could have became secondary, or DJing, you really need to find something to make money. And we were making money on there. People were donating through Cash App and whatever it may be. I'm pretty sure some of us may have experienced that. But at one point in time, I was able to pay my rent in my apartment in Connecticut that I wasn't living in. I was able to pay off the final month and break that lease through streaming online. And I fast forward to in December of 2020, I said, I can't do this ESPN thing no more. And my friend had an opportunity at Rock Nation, so I told ESPN I'm putting my days in, I quit. And I jumped over to Rock Nation, learned a lot of great things there. I was doing digital marketing and strategy, which helps a lot in my space. I met a lot of cool people. I was sitting in meetings with Jay-Z, recruiting athletes and talking to rappers, and it was like, I can't believe this is my life. And it was gone like that. I think in 7 months, they let me go for something I'll talk about later, but it pushed me to move to New York. Like in January 2020, I got a pandemic deal. I was living in Chelsea, which is insane if you know the rent now. And that like was like, wow, I'm really in New York. I'm right up the street from Marquee. Like it was so many things I'm so exposed to. And once I got let go, I thought my world was gonna crumble right before my eyes. And it took like 1 or 2 days for me to figure it out and be like, the grandest opportunity is right in front of you. You have time now, because I was working around the clock. You have time now to go and check out Everyday People. You have time to go and check out Mike Nasty's party or whatever it may be. And I got that gig and I never looked back. So I really took that opportunity and I just kept pounding away. Like, this is gonna be my life. And like, I proudly say I'm a full-time DJ now. I'm a full-time organizer. Like, because I know what I went through to get to this point. That's my journey, you know?
Nice. Arty, let's hear a struggle story. Something you can share with everyone.
I will never top these, but I'm just gonna share some, young, relatable DJ stories. When I was first DJing a lot, that was in Switzerland, Geneva, Switzerland. Like I was probably like 17, like 18, playing like 1 or 2 hours, opening up the club. It was kind of interesting because like Geneva is like a lot of rich people live there. If you ever seen rich white kids partying at the club, it's like a very interesting phenomenon, especially the Europeans. I can't even explain how it is, but they love rap music. They love trap rap music. And they love African music. Like fire, But the club owners don't. And so I'd be in there and like there's a song, it's called like Coller la Petite. Do you know that song? Yeah. Coller la Petite, which translates to, it's gonna sound awful, but it translates to like stick to the young girl. Stick to shorty. They see petite, but they don't mean young girl. They just like a girl. They just say petite. Just French is weird. But I would play these songs, and then the club owner would come to me like, yo, bro, you gotta cut it with African music. Meanwhile, it's like the 10 minutes where everyone's been the most hype, and just like stuff like that has happened early on. Or like I remember when I moved here, when I first discovered that I wanted to do events, like none of the venues would respond to me. Like I'd like after class, I would like have like, okay, these are 10 venues I'm gonna go to. I would go to, it was raining. I'd be like, hey, can I do an event here? Be like, what? Leave. It's like, all right, my bad. Like I'd go to another venue. I was like, hey guys, I'm wondering if I could talk to like the people here. I want to throw like this kind of party. And they're like, we don't really do that here. Like you gotta go. So yeah, like, I went through like these things, like these are pretty, like it's gonna happen. They're not, like I didn't have a state canceling me like the day before the event, right? But like I've been through things like, and I think the first venue I ever performed at, I only got that connect because the owner was one of my professors at NYU. He just happened to own this arcade that had a stage. And I was like, bet, that's why I'm booking Dochi and in 2020. So yeah, I mean, like things happen, Now fast forward, I'm lucky, like I've been working since 2021. I was working at a great company before. Then I left it, had like a week of like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And then I got some calls like, yo, we need someone to help us with our event. And I was like, bet, Furtado Global, hire us. And yeah, we've just been able to grow from that, like build a really dope network of people. And yeah, man, I've been blessed since then.
Nice. Let's give it up, man.
Hell yeah. Keep going. That's the
I was gonna say
overlying theme is keep going.
Facts.
Like you just got to
Stick to the
pivot.
vision.
Yeah, if you got a vision, you got something you want to put out there, man, just keep going. There's gonna be a lot of people that say no, and people are gonna tell you, oh, it's wide open, you could go get it. People are gonna tell you no. And that doesn't mean it's gonna be no forever. You gotta continue to push and push and push. Like, yeah, man. I look at like EP and I'm like, you guys started at the Delancey, and like, I mean the DL, and I'm like you guys are about to do Brooklyn Mirage. You know what I mean? That's that right there is like, you have to keep going. And I'm pretty sure they got 10,000 no's before, so.
If it ever opens.
Oh man,
I laid that
it was,
up for you
it was
right
only a
there.
matter of time before we went there. But on that note, actually, I want to shift gears to New York, and I want to talk about the state of New York and throwing events in New York and this area. I want to start with Moma, and I want to know it's a lot, but what are some of the biggest changes you've seen from all these years in New York to 2025? And where are we now, and what's it looking like? What's the forecast like in New York during events and nightlife as in general?
Well, listen, I think we're in a good place because the reason we started Everyday People is because we didn't have a space for ourselves, right? And that whole concept of like grassroots events that partner with venues, that take over the door, that get a percentage of the bar, that keep your ticket sales, that get to book the talent, that wasn't an obvious thing in like 2010 by any means, right? So the fact that you have, Moochie, Showcase, Arty doing their own events and having that kind of autonomy and being able to run their enterprises in a way where they have a budget that they can work with and empower people in their community. That's really leaps and bounds from where we were in 2010, And so from that standpoint, I'm not complaining, because I've seen like the really dark days where, venues were like, your crowd is predominantly black. How does Sunday night at 11:30 sound for you, right? How does Tuesday night sound? We really didn't have the options for like prime time, daytime, things of that nature. So from that standpoint, I'm very content right now. The thing that maybe I'm a bit more chagrined about is that I love Manhattan. I'm a Manhattan sentimentalist. When I was young in Queens, nobody cared about Brooklyn. No shade, right? Like you went to Brooklyn if you go to Caribbean City, maybe, or like people from other boroughs knew of Club Amazura in Queens or XYZ spot in the Bronx, but everyone came to the city. And when you came to the city, it was magical. And that's why Everyday People started in the city. And it's very different, the kind of energy and electricity you get from a diverse group of people coming from the whole tri-state area versus people rolling out of their bed to go to the same spot in Bushwick or Bed-Stuy, 10 weeks in a row. I mean, I feel it, And it also creates this kind of insular thing in Brooklyn where people tend to party with people they know, people they follow on Instagram. You have to party around people you don't know. You have to be surrounded by strangers because then you can be free. And that's the one thing that I'm noticing. I used to DJ really long sets. I still do sometimes. And I would see all types of wild, freaky shit at the end of the night. And I didn't mind it, And I'd be like, I think you have a boyfriend. What are you doing? I'm not saying anything, but people were connecting in a way that was so different when they were partying outside of their comfort zone. That's the one thing that maybe if we could improve on right now. Everything is kind of algorithm driven. Those are the followers of that DJ, of that party. And I know 50% of the people here. I took a friend of mine to a party in Manhattan during Fashion Week. It was Doechii and Janelle Monáe, not bragging. I just happened to be there, right? And he's a homie from Brooklyn. He was like, yo, I don't know anyone here. And I was like, and you should appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? These are all new faces, new energies. So if there's one thing about the state of the nightlife, I'm happy that as young people of color, we can run our own enterprises, build our own communities, because we really couldn't before. And now that we've done that, I just want people to like take a few more risks and get out of their comfort zone, whether it's musically or as far as the composition of the people who are at the party. And that's why Everyday People works, because Everyday People has kind of taken the place of Manhattan. When we do 2,000 people in Knockdown Center or 4,000 people at Pier 17, those are not all people from Brooklyn, Those are people who come from everywhere, from other countries, and you get to see people just like, exchanging that energy in a way that maybe could be a little stale if you're constantly recycling the same people in the same environments. That was a lot. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Give it up, please, please.
That was a really, really good answer.
Yeah.
I didn't think about a lot of that.
I'm the
actually.
senior statesman on this panel, so I have a different set of experiences from way before COVID that really inform everything I'm saying. So I love it because I feel like there's definitely two DJ lives that I've lived, pre-COVID and after COVID. So yeah, sorry if I ramble on.
No, you touched on a good point because we had Rich Romero last panel, and he brought up Manhattan and all these things, and you know that was an era, and I think a lot of people don't know that because they know Brooklyn and they know Queens, and
So just to add one more point to that, staying on the Manhattan tip, Ellie Escobar, my DJ partner at Dance Dance Dance, we've been doing a weekly Wednesday at LeBain for about 10 and a half years now. And again, it's in the city.
Congrats to that, please.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank you.
one of the best residencies,
Best weekly in the
Manhattan,
history of New York.
History, like that is a huge accomplishment.
And obviously, I'm happy that it's in Manhattan. I love the city. I live in the city. I've been living here since I left my parents' house in Queens. And in 2003, I moved to Manhattan. And I did Brooklyn for 6 months. I couldn't do it. You know, I was like seasick or something. I had to come back. It was just, everything was too far for me. But I love the fact that it's at LeBain. But the most important thing about that party is that the venue decided to bet on residents. They told me and Ellie, you guys are going to start Wednesdays. And we're like, Wednesdays is dead. They said, do not worry about it. And for about a year, it was hit or miss every Wednesday. And then once we found our stride, like year 2, now it's like hit every week. It's packed. But you have to have venues who are willing to bet on residents, and you have to have, residents develop nights so that there are options beyond Friday night or Saturday daytime or Saturday nighttime or Sunday daytime, you know. And what Moochie and Supply are doing with their Tuesday R&B party is just a great example of that. And that's a party that was a slow burn for the first couple years, and now it's the Tuesday spot in the city, and it's not even in a very easy neighborhood to get to. It's in Long Island City. So, but that's part of like their original venue, like believing in them, but also them having the diligence, the hard work, the consistency to do a weekly weeknight, because that's a real grind, you know? So I got to give you guys props for that.
You want to jump back?
I mean, you guys are the inspiration, like fully. But state of New York, God, you inspired so many things I could say at this point. I think that we're simultaneously in this like really, really good place where like there's 10 parties going on and they're all sold out and they're all lit as fuck. Like New York is the best market in the world. I mean, I'm not much of a traveler. Maybe Moma could tell us a little bit more about sort of the ecosystem in some of these other cities. But from what I understand, there's like the clip of parties and the quality of parties doesn't compare anywhere to here. New York, right? So that being said, that's really tight. But I think one of the things that kind of sucks, and you really spurred this thought, is this is such a big city, and it feels like there's like 15 venues, and we're all fighting for them because, you know, the vast majority of us, I think, are trying to throw parties for what, 300 people, right? Like 400 people maybe. Like that's where you can like really garner community, like we were talking about before. And there's just such a limited amount of them, and I don't get it. It's kind of bizarre. And like we're all fighting for them, and it sucks. Like these venues are booked up for the whole year. So I wish there was more venues. I think there's enough interest for them. Yeah.
I mean, I really like where things are right now. I mean, I'm a beneficiary of it. Just being in Brooklyn. I take that depending on when I'm going. It could be 2 hours, an hour, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. But I love coming out here and just like throwing these awesome events. I really like when I come across a venue that just gets it. They open the doors to the right people. They care about how they program their clubs. I love a good sound system. There's a lot of things that I really like about the current state of New York nightlife. When I was going to Manhattan, like as a younger person, I went to House Party Thursdays at Webster Hall, which is like, I think the community would have greatly benefited from that if that was still going on. It was like 3-4 floors, different DJs, different vibes. Flat Tops got it for free, and I had this for the longest. So I would just walk past a line that was all the way down the street, which I'm very fortunate for, because like I could just walk right in, not pay a dime, and get the best experience of my life. I got to see Bobby Shmurda when Hot Nigga first came out, and when Trap Queen first came out, Fetty Wap performing on the main stage, and I'm like, I gotta play here one day. I gotta play here one day, and like those are like very core memories for me. I remember being able to finally get into Up and Down on like a Monday or Tuesday and walking. The first person I see was like Ty Dolla $ign. I'm like, oh shit, this is crazy, right? Like a lot of that doesn't really happen anymore. And it's like, there's like this delay here where I feel like the celebrities, those artists, they all like still come to Manhattan and they go to like these bottle service clubs and like they pose and take a picture, and like it makes it seem like, well, if you're not a New Yorker or you're not from here, you don't party here, you think that's where it's still at. But really, EP or Dumbala on a Sunday or Record Room on a Tuesday, that's where, I don't know, like Alicia Keys should be, or, I don't know, like Kendrick, whoever's in town, you know what I mean? Or like these like artists or these like public figures, because that's where the soul is right now. That's where the energy, the ecosystem is really thriving. And, I get you with the venues, but I kind of also think it's just like there's a flooding of the market. Like there's so many people that want to do their own parties now, which is not, I don't think it's a bad thing, but, we talk about community. I think like we got to work with each other in a sense, as opposed to just everybody doing their own thing. So maybe starting your career, like working with somebody or trying to work with somebody and building something together, just, I would say, consider that first when you're entering a market so, I guess, heavily populated, because there is room for you to make motion and make a name for yourself. Just be strategic in how you enter this market. Because, starting from the ground up, just doing shit by yourself, like you have to be very, very humble about that. And one of the best ways is getting a residency at a dive bar and really, building your IP and then growing and scaling up, as opposed to trying to get right into, a silo or whatever club it may be, which is already booked out months in advance, So I know I kind of steered off topic, but that's like, I feel good about where we are right now. I'm very optimistic about where we're taking it. But how the attendees consume our product and our music and all that stuff is another conversation.
I just want to say one more thing about what you said about like a weekly in a dive bar. Like, guys, we all want to throw events here, right? And Moma was talking about how when they started Wednesdays at LeBain, when I started Tuesdays at Bunton's, if you want to do something really special, you gotta do it for cheap, and you gotta do it with care because you love it. And for the love of God, we need more weekday parties in New York, man. Why is there one Wednesday party? Why is there one Tuesday party? Why is there no Monday party? Why is there no Thursday party? Someone like, I have 2 weeklies. I do Sunday at Dumbala mentioned. That shit was the best decision I ever made in my fucking life. Like, guy, if there's one thing that I can say from everyone, we need more weekday parties. Fridays and Saturdays are crazy. We need another Wednesday party. We need another Tuesday party,
I think to that point, if you're able to develop an audience for a weeknight, then you'll definitely have enough stickiness for the weekend, right? But it doesn't work the other way around, right? So yeah, it's a bit harder. Not all parties that start on weeknights survive and go to distance. But if you're able to, it doesn't have to be a late night thing, right? It doesn't have to start at like 10. It could be a 6 to 12. It could be like the equivalent of what Moe's used to be in Fort Greene.
My shit's 7 to 1.
Exactly, right? So if you guys have the appetite and the stamina for a weeknight, which could be a little ungratifying at first, that's a really good way to make your mark because it's a lot less crowded on the weeknight, you know?
Again, they're speaking facts. The question was about the state of New York. I'm 26. I haven't seen the past. New York is great. Coming from a, you know what I mean? You know, coming from a city in Switzerland where it's 400,000 people who live, and then you come here and it's like 10 million people, which is more than the entire population of Switzerland, which is 9 million people. I mean, like, you know, you're spoiled for options, and literally whatever you want to do, you can do because there's at least one other crazy motherfucker in there that wants to hear the same shit that you want to hear. I love it. The one thing that I will say, I guess if we want to get a little spicy, is that a lot of different parties just play the same music. And as someone who just loves going to places and just hearing new, not everyone is built for that. Like I've had people come up to me like, oh, you know, if I don't know the songs, I just tune out. It's not for me. But as someone who here loves to hear new music, like I sometimes I just go on a Wednesday to Le Bon just to like chill because that's one days where I can actually party without having to work. And I just hear this man spin. And then after the club, I'm like, yo, you said something on the mic, that song afterwards, please, that shit's fire. And he can attest to that because that's facts. I've done that. Yeah, I did do that. I just love when DJs play new things. Like I remember my first time seeing Moochie play was in a backyard for someone's birthday party. And I was like, cool, let's go. I didn't know who you were. I'm sorry. I was new. And damn, you played some like sleepers from the 70s. I was like some sleepers from 2004. I was like, yo, what is this? Let me Shazam. I was auto Shazam the whole night. I was like, damn, I love that shit. Because how many times is the highlights reel that you post going to be people electric sliding to Chromeo? Like, I love the electric slide. I love Kende. But like, play something new, you know? Or how many times is the highlight reel to your party gonna be the Suede,
He's getting there. He's getting there. It's about that time now. We're gonna start talking about that shit.
No, but like these are great things. Like you should play them at your parties, right? But be daring. Play something new. Remix a commercial into Drake. Yeah.
I have a really, really good analogy for this that I use all the time. Thriller by Michael Jackson. Beat It. Thriller. Want to Be Starting Something. These are big hit records, right? But what's the best song in that album? Baby Be Mine. So the best albums of all time, like we can all talk about our favorite albums of all time, those front to back albums, right? Those singles obviously are very important. We all know the value of a hit record here as DJs, right? But what really makes a night or an album important or just someone's discography important are those sort of filler songs that, like, they're really fucking important. So, like, I just to your point, when we're all being DJs and we're being selectors, yeah, we're all gonna play fucking No Hands. You know, we're all gonna play the Diwali rhythm, like, but we have this ability to also play other songs and sandwich them in ways and present them in ways that can make a night feel really special. And that goes back to caring, right? Like, that's make a night special with like a risk or like introducing new songs or old songs that maybe people didn't think about. So yeah, I love using that analogy.
Everyone, can we please give our panelists a big round of applause? I think we have time. I want to make sure we get at least one or two questions from the audience. So if anyone wants to raise a hand, if anyone has a question. Saw your hand up.
What's good, y'all?
Come a little closer. I think the distance might be.
Good. Use this one. Use this. What's good, y'all? I'm Simbazilla. I know a bunch of y'all. I know you. I know you. Got you. My question to y'all: I've been in the game for a little bit now. Been grinding, like you said, never stop. Whenever you feel like you about to quit, like I put in mad time at this point. Why would I quit? How do you scale? Like that's been the biggest issue for me, and I feel like things have been clicking as I've been like being more intentional. But it's just kind of like, what ways did you scale your event from just being maybe like a monthly thing or being in the dive bar to having it be something that people are actually willing to like spend their money on?
I don't have all the answers. I have the anecdotes, though, and I'll tell you what worked for me. Before we started Everyday People, I was doing relatively well. I was doing like 400 or 500 person events, nothing like what it is now. And the reason why it kind of took at some point is because of like intersectionality of communities. My partner with whom I started Everyday People is Sada. She's not a DJ. She's not a promoter. She's like this ubiquitous it girl from downtown Brooklyn. And then Chef Roble, who was a chef. And what it showed me is like, there could be redundancies if you're doing events with people from the exact same discipline as yours. So once you go outside of that, you bring in their communities, and if they all like what you do as a DJ, you become all of their favorite DJs. And for me, that's when my events went from like 500-ish to 1,000, 1,200. So I got to give Sada and Roble a lot of credit. But I think that's something that can help, Beyond that, I mean, social media marketing is key. Social media marketing is changing right now. Like Instagram used to drive a lot of sales, a lot of return. But Instagram, the algorithm is so crazy right now. It's all about reels. And even for us at Everyday People, we feel it, it's different. But we were collecting emails the whole time. So data is really important. And we partnered with ticketing platforms like Posh to collect data, to create another way to communicate with your audience. So if you're doing something that's just kind of based on social media, then you may plateau. You really have to start thinking about partnering up with ticketing platforms, and then you can leverage their tools to reach out to the audience. Sometimes they do notifications. Sometimes they reach out to communities who might be interested in your sound. For instance, you could say like, we play Burna Boy, Beyonce, Drake, what's not to like, right? But if they can push the algorithm out outside of social media, I'm talking about ticketing platforms, that might be a way to scale at this point, But really, it all boils down to, is your party successful? Do people like it? Do they want to come back? Those are the core elements. And is it in an environment that they like? Do they like your DJ sets? Is it memorable? Did they dance the night away? Did they leave, drenched in sweat and exhausted? Those are the core, fundamental elements that'll make people come back. And then once you're sold out, you have a good problem. You got to think about expanding at that point. And then you can use some of those tools.
Can I add or? Yeah. Facts once again. I will say, shit. One thing that everybody here familiar with R&B only, the R&B party, like they do arenas, right? Crazy. Then I was talking to Jabari, the founder, and he was like, at first you got to focus on getting access to people as opposed to getting money from them. So like instead of worrying about like $5 or $10 ticket, worry about getting their SMS and their email numbers. Just like collect that shit. Cause then every single time, next time you post about a party, you just like hit them up directly, like SMS, boom, another party, come up, pull up. And like there people, at least nowadays, people are really, really responsive to SMS, especially if you send them stuff that they like or that they're familiar with. And then use that to your advantage. They do, yeah, they do. Don't just text a stranger. That's that's illegal. But those who hopped in, get those people social media to use. The algorithm definitely sucks for pictures, but for videos, if you have a video that's fire, that's gonna take it for us like Club One Bedroom. Like we sell our stuff with videos. And again, to the point I made earlier, make it something that you want to go to, you know? Because if you can convince your 10 friends, they're gonna convince their 10 friends, and they're who are gonna convince their 10 friends, and it's exponential. And then, like you said, once your party sells out, scale, but like be humble about the scaling. Like I always have to, like David is always like, yo man, we should be doing 3,000 people. And I'm just like, let's do 1,500. I mean, these are big numbers, right? But even at first, he was like, yo, man, we should do 800. I'm like, nah, we're starting with 300. We're starting a $10 ticket. Let's see, you know? And then if that sells out in advance, then you move on to the next. You do a 400, and then you do an 800, and then you do 1,000, and then you do 1,200, and then you like petit à petit, as they say in French, slowly but surely, you get to.
What you said is key because you can't skip steps. Like the know-how to run a 400-person party is not the same as a 2,500-person event. It's totally different. And you actually have to go through those steps to learn, to anticipate problems, and like to preempt them. So that's a key thing. Do not skip steps. If you're sold out, you have a backlog, you have a wait list, it's a good place to be until you're ready to take it to the next step.
Let's do one more question somewhere on that side of the room. Bless you.
Thank you. Okay, so my question is, my name's Landon. Nice to meet you all. My question is, if you have a popular digital platform, and you're looking for ways to take it to the next level, but a party doesn't quite seem like the aesthetic of your brand, what would be your recommendation to move to next? Like, we're making money. There's no money on YouTube, unfortunately, but we get a lot of viewership. But we are trying to figure out if we don't want to throw a big party and invite all these people to a party, what other routes are there in like the music space to make income?
I don't know if I have the answer, but as someone who throws parties in apartments, we always try to at least have venues that kind of feel apartment cozy-ish, right? And so the good thing about the state of New York, or just New York in general, there's so many spaces. Like we're, party promoters. We've been talking about party venues, but I mean, look at this space, for example. This is a phenomenal space where you can do the events that are not parties, and you can just build it, dress it up, do whatever you want it to be, Peer space. I mean, there's so many things, like so many resources in New York where you can just take a space, build it up, and just make it be whatever you want to be, right? And it doesn't have to be a party. It could be whatever you want to call it. So I personally think try to find venues that allow either kind of already look like what you're doing online, or give you the flexibility of being able to dress it up in a way where it's kind of reminiscent to what people are already seeing online. Because that way it kind of becomes like experiential marketing. They're like, oh my God, it's just like the YouTube. Like, this is fire, Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you're trying to do something experiential IRL, right?
Yeah.
And so what is your YouTube about?
A vinyl platform. It's called Humano Studios. We do like every Monday we have new episodes dropped. It's just like a DJ playing in like a kitchen kind of vibe.
I mean, but that's amazing, right? That's exactly what people would want. So vinyl bars right now, the hi-fi listening bars is a big thing. You know, the Tokyo style bars. You could literally partner with one of those venues. I don't know how many we have in New York right now. Record Room is one.
Yeah, but people are gonna expect a party if you're at Record Room. But I can give you a whole list of vinyl, hi-fi bars. All Blues right over here is really good. So like, you play records on YouTube and people just.
I'm like a producer. I like work with like DJs and the talent, but I like produce the product. But we're trying to take it from digital to like expand into more like IRL experiences.
Sure.
I was gonna say that like, is it just like, shit. I can project. Oh, come look at my YouTube page. Like, you should work with us because we can bring this many people. Like, I just feel like there's a step there that I feel like I might be missing. You know what I'm trying to say?
Talk to me. I'll help you out.
Yeah, I think if you can identify the venues, whether through Moochie or other avenues, you have to fill a void for them. Is there a night? Is there a day where they don't have any business? And that's when you make your proposal.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys aren't even open on Sunday evening. You know, we could make a killing. I could bring 50 people, And then for you, then you have to craft it and promote it in a way that's slightly different. So sure, playing vinyl in a vinyl spot, that is kind of like a party, but I feel like you want to do something more interesting. So could it be wine and cheese? I don't know, it sounds corny, right? Could it be, are we sipping organic teas from Japan? Just add something to it that's not gimmicky, that's not corny, that matches your aesthetic. You're a pretty fly person. Maybe there's like a fashion element that you can tie into that. You know what I mean? I'm just spitballing here. But you got to find an element that makes it slightly different. And then, you could have something. And a good name.
To add to that, I was going to say, think outside the box. It could be, you could do a dinner party. Why not? Why does it have to be a club? Why can't it be just a private dinner party and you charge whatever amount for that? You know what I mean? And if income is something that people pay a high ticket price for, so it doesn't have to be a banger party. It could be, something outside the box.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be sending invoices to you. Don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry.
A good reference point for that too is Cement Sound. I think Cement Sound is like, just check them out. They have a whole YouTube series, basically like an immersive DJ set, but Cement Sound is a really good reference point.
Cement Sound. That we actually ran into a pretty similar scenario that you're going through, and we were like, well, what's something that's not happening right now? There's a lot of DJ content. We all see the DJ content. It's all in these places. It's all in kitchens. But what about the experience of the person at the location? Everyone sees the video, but what about the experience when you're there? People just show up, get behind the camera, dance, smile, and then leave. And it was like, our goal was to create something that was unforgettable. So it's a dinner experience. Starts with a private dinner that's not recorded, that turns into a party with a DJ that is recorded. So we bring local vendors in New Jersey, and we have great food, chefs come in. We got a pizza truck, and then we even include that in the video. So we just did a video where Ayana Heaven, we're cooking pizza in the back. People are eating pizza, drinking wine. She's DJing in the middle in the kitchen. Like, it's an experience, you know what I mean? So outside the box, get creative. Thank you. Do we have time for one more? Could we do one more?
We got 5 minutes left on the camera, but we can keep.
I got time. Let's do it.
Let's do
Make it a
one
little-
more. Let's do one more.
Yeah. So this is our outro
Okay,
right
cool,
now.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming to Behind the Booth. Let's give our panelists a big round of applause. Great discussions today. We plan on doing a lot more of these in the city. If you want to keep up with us, please follow us on Instagram at Behind the Booth. I believe it's behind.the.booth. So please follow us. We'll keep you guys up to date on the next event. Our goal is to do this once a month. So look out for July. Holy shit. It's already June.
Big up Posh, man. Much love to Posh for having me.
Please, shout out Posh. Big round of applause for Posh. Thank you for hosting us in this beautiful space.